I look? Am I beautiful?
You look the same as always. It's rolling.
Oh! Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution of the United States of America. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. That is the text. Great, Kevin, but what does it mean? This was amazing. We learned that preamble was a letter to the people, explaining that their intention was to make this country the most free country in the world. They didn't waste any time or words doing it either. These 25 words were the most radical words ever written, because with them they said the people are the government. The very first words of the body of the Constitution, they put you in charge of your own destiny. Wait, I thought the idea was to make a strong country. That was the plan. But I told you they were geniuses. One of the movers and shakers of the Constitutional Convention was Benjamin Franklin, a certified genius and inventor. But this was terribly important for everyone. Each state government knew just how important this was, so they didn't send lackeys. They sent the smartest people in their communities. All told, there was one inventor, one minister, one farmer, 2 soldiers, 2 doctors, 2 teachers, 11 merchants, 29 lawyers, and 5 politicians, one of whom was James Madison. It was a literal who's who of each state, and you bet they took it seriously. Circumstances were perfect, too. The Revolutionary War had been won only 4 years before, so that spirit of independence was still with them. The states had been operating for 8 years as miniature countries, so they were obstinate that they did not want to give up that power, while at the same time knowing that none of them could stand alone. Then there was Ben Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, and James Madison. Geniuses and radicals with a penchant for personal freedom. Thomas Jefferson was in France at the time, but in contact with the convention by letter. So what to do? These were outside-the-box kind of people. The Articles of Confederation were too weak, and obviously you couldn't just disperse the country to the states. It would fall immediately. They had an idea. Disperse the power instead. Every other country on earth were top-down monarchy or something similar, dispersing the power downward through ministers and governors and lower aristocracy. Why not go the other direction? Well, now you did it. Have the people disperse the power upward? What a world! That's what they did. On the very first section, you see the Senate is the states, equally represented in the Congress with 2 senators each. So every state had the same amount of power. But what about the people? House of Representatives is you. Each representative would be elected by the same number of people in each district. To make it fair, they also included that each state must have at least 1 representative as well. No one was left unrepresented. Remember, they had just fought a war with the strongest country in the world over taxing them without having any representation. So now each state had the same amount of power. Every single person had the same amount of power. Truly a radical revolutionary idea. We were the government. So what did this bicameral system do besides put you in charge? Oddly enough, it prevented tyranny. The House of Representatives prevents tyranny of the few. Lower population states can't force legislation that would be detrimental to the larger population states, because all laws must come from the House, i.e. the people. The Senate prevents tyranny of the masses. Small states can't be overwhelmed by more populous states, because all laws must be voted on by the Senate before being sent to the executive. What if the House and Senate can't agree? In that case, the bill dies, and it probably should. Not every idea is a good idea. See, the House is supposed to be a big brawl, absolute chaos. Your representative is supposed to go up there and fight for you, not for some block that's 9 states over. You. What should you do if your representative isn't representing you? You should vote him out. You get to vote for them every 2 years. The Senate is supposed to be much more deliberate, slower, not moved by trends or whims, but only by what is good for your state. Just like your representative, if your senator isn't representing your state's values, you get to vote for them every 6 years. However, with Section 1, we were in charge of our own lives for the first time in history, and it was fair. A brand new thing had been created, federalism. And what a glorious thing it is. A strong, stable, self-correcting national government, by its bottom-up nature, literally cannot become tyrannical except by nefarious, illegal actions. Folks, these guys handed us our birthright as free American citizens with only 25 words. I've always found it interesting that the things that were the most empowering in the government of our country are the ones that use the least words putting into law. For instance, the last budget bill is 4,100 pages long. Kind of makes you wonder what's in it, doesn't it? Truth be told, I wonder if anyone knows everything that's in that thing. I kind of doubt it, don't you? Let me know in the comments. Making the people the power was so important to these men that they put nearly all their effort into Article 1. It is fully half the body of the Constitution. In other words, you were such a keystone to this country that they defined the rules for the Congress in such detail that it really can't be disputed. Human beings are fallible, frail, greedy, and fey. Fey means wishy-washy. They knew this and took every precaution they could to make it as difficult as possible for the representatives of the people to be disingenuous, at least not flagrantly. They're still capable of it, and many of them engage in it knowing that they have so cowed their constituents that they will continue to vote for them regardless of how poor a job they've done for them. To be honest, those are my neighbors that I need to reach the most. I will repeat what I said before. If your representative has stopped representing you, vote them out. We are all Americans. The other people on that ballot are not evil, and neither is your neighbor. Our founders never expected representatives spending decades in the House. Like I said before, it was designed to be volatile. They're supposed to fight for their districts, not line up on teams. It isn't football. Still, you see destitute congressional districts being represented for decades by the same representative as nothing changes. Sometimes the only person in that district who sees any gain at all is the representative themselves. Handy for them, ain't it? That ain't right, and it shouldn't be tolerated. You are important, every one of you. You are the government. That is the way the founders intended. There really was debate about it at the convention. Under the Articles of Confederation, voting was tied to property ownership. George Washington reminded them that there were people who owned no property at all who took up arms to fight in the war, and he didn't want them left behind. The thinking among a lot of the founders was if the power will be coming up from the people, it should come from all of the people. We are stronger because of it. We've always had the ability to change the direction of the country. You have no doubt about it. You are the government, no matter how much these self-important so-called elites want you to think differently. Until the next one, please keep the dirty side down, and thank you for watching my channel.